We spend so much time talking about cybersecurity, firewalls, passwords, hackers, all that stuff. But what if the biggest threats to your data aren't digital at all? What if they're physical? Today, let's explore the unseen fortress, the actual walls and wires that protect our digital world. First things first, we've got to get one thing straight. We all love to talk about the cloud, right? This kind of magical, floaty place where all our pictures and emails and documents just live. But that's really just a metaphor. Your data isn't actually floating around in the sky. No, it's on a hard drive. That hard drive is inside a server, which is sitting on a rack, which is inside a very real, very physical building called a data center. A building with a roof and walls and a whole lot of very real vulnerabilities. And protecting that building, well, that's the core of what we're talking about today. And that right there is what we call physical security. It's literally the foundation of our digital lives. It's all about protecting everything from the hardware and the power grids to, of course, the people who keep it all up and running. So yeah, the cloud has a physical body, and just like any body, it can be harmed. So let's take a look at the forces out there, both natural and human, that are threatening these digital fortresses every single day. Let's start with the big ones, the most impersonal and powerful threats of all, natural disasters. I'm talking about the kind of events that can wipe entire regions off the map. And guess what? Data centers are sitting right in their path. Just imagine a tornado for a second. It's this incredibly narrow, concentrated storm of pure destruction, with winds that are just absolutely devastating to any physical structure. But how devastating are we really talking about? The sheer force here is just unbelievable. You can see at an F3, you're getting roofs and walls torn clean off. By the time you hit F4, whole buildings are leveled. And in F5, we're talking winds over 260 miles an hour. Strong houses can be lifted right off their foundations. Now, just imagine that kind of force hitting a data center. And with hurricanes, look, the wind is bad enough, but it's not the only problem. Check out the storm surge. A Category 5 storm can bring a wall of water over 18 feet high crashing ashore. That causes catastrophic damage to infrastructure that can last for weeks, maybe even longer. Of all the environmental threats, fire might just be the scariest. It's not just the flames, it's the extreme heat, the smoke, all the water used to put it out. So that leads to a really critical question. At what point does it get so hot that the very media storing our information is just gone? Okay, this is pretty wild. Look at magnetic tapes, the kind often used for backups. They can be permanently damaged at just 38 degrees Celsius. That's just a hot summer day. Hard disks fail at 66 Celsius. But here's the real kicker. Good old-fashioned paper can withstand temperatures up to 177 Celsius, more than double what modern computer gear can handle. It really shows you just how fragile our digital storage can be. Okay, so it's not just the weather we're up against. Data centers also face threats from the inside, from the very technology that keeps them running, and of course, from the unpredictable actions of people. Electricity is this total double-edged sword. If you have too little voltage, like a brownout or a full blackout, it's a pain, for sure. It interrupts service. But having too much voltage, a power surge, that is way more dangerous. A big enough surge can literally fry the processors and memory chips that are the brains of a computer. And then, of course, you have people. Unlike a hurricane or a power surge, human threats are often intentional. They're specifically designed to get around security. And this can be anything from somebody just getting into a restricted area to outright theft, to vandalism, and even the misuse of systems by people who are supposed to be trusted. So, you've got fire, floods, power problems, and people. How on earth do you protect these incredibly important buildings? Well, you have to design and build a fortress. And that's exactly the goal. The idea is that for every single vulnerability, there needs to be a defense to counter it. It's all about building layers of protection, kind of like a medieval castle, to create a facility that's truly secure. Let's take fire, for instance. You don't just cross your fingers and hope for the best. You follow a really clear strategy. It all starts with smart design. Then you install detectors to get an early warning. After that, you have suppression systems ready to go. And crucially, if all else fails, you have a contingency plan with off-site backup so you can recover your data. It's a full 4-step defense. And it's the exact same logic for power. For a quick outage, you have an uninterruptible power supply, a UPS, which is basically a giant battery backup. For longer blackouts, you've got emergency generators that kick in. And for those really dangerous voltage surges, well, those same UPS units can act as a shield. It's all about having the right tool for each specific problem. Now, to deal with the human threat, you need something called physical access control. This is everything from having guards and gates outside to locked server racks on the inside. The goal is super simple: control who can physically get their hands on the equipment. But here's the problem, right? Having all these different systems, a key card for the door, a password for the computer, another system for the alarms, it creates a lot of complexity, and that can lead to security gaps. So the future is all about integration. It's about creating one single smart system. And a huge part of that future is a standard called Personal Identity Verification, or PIV for short. The big idea here is to have one credential, just one, that proves who you are for everything, from walking in the front door to logging out of the network. It brings physical and logical security together. The way PIV works is actually pretty brilliant. It combines up to 3 different factors of authentication. First, there's something you have. That's the physical smart card. Then there's something you know, your secret PIN. And finally, there's something you are, a unique biometric, like your fingerprint. When you require more than one of those, the system becomes incredibly secure. And when you see it side by side, the difference is just massive. In the old way, you had separate cards and passwords, which created gaps. With an integrated PIV system, you have one credential and one central system managing everything. So, for example, if someone tries to log into the network, but their card never actually swiped into the building, that unified system can flag it immediately as a major security alert. So what we're seeing is that our digital fortresses are evolving. They're getting smarter, not just stronger. But this whole move towards a single key that unlocks both our physical and our digital worlds, well, it raises a new, pretty big question. We're building a fortress with a single master key. What happens if that one key is ever lost or compromised?